Welcome back, guys. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I know I did. I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark right before Christmas, and I really appreciate your support. I can't thank you enough for liking the videos and subscribing. You really made my Christmas a merry one. Anyway, as promised, I told you I'll tell you about the tell from episode 13. Okay, a quick thing about poker tells. I'm sure most of you are aware of the strong means weak and the weak means strong. And as you can tell that this player uses that a lot when he plays. You don't find this too much with better players, but new players and recreational players have a tendency to do this quite a bit. When he's putting his chips in the pot, you can tell that he sometimes splashes them forward to make it look a little bit more intimidating. This usually is a sign of weakness. When players slide their chips in nice and quietly, it has a tendency to be more strength. Also, the quickness of the bet. Usually when someone bets quickly, it's either a bluff or a nutted hand. They're very polarized. You usually don't find good value spots where a guy just shoves in real quick. So just think about what you would do if you're in a stressful situation and you don't want any kind of confrontation. Let's say you're walking down the street and some drunk bumps into you and wants to pick out a fight. What do? You posture up, you make yourself look bigger, you deepen your voice, you try to be a little bit more intimidating. Well, anyway, that's what people do in a poker game when they don't want confrontation. So when someone's on a big draw or a semi-bluff or just a bluff, they try to make themselves more intimidating. Now, a lot of times they'll posture up, they'll try to bet more aggressively, make it think like they bet quickly, trying to make them feel like, oh, they're certain about their hand. A lot of these things can be done in a way that they can mislead you also. So a good player who knows that you're trying to read them might just say, well, I'm gonna act like I'm strong when I really am strong, and maybe they'll think I'm weak. And anyway, you get into a very deep leveling battle with you and your opponent on their tells. So I don't rely strictly on those type of tells, the ones that are given off on purpose. I like to rely more on the ones that they don't know they're given off at all. And the ones that I like the best are the way they hold their eyes, the way they hold their cards, the way they breathe. There's a lot of little things, and everyone's different. But I've been using this particular tell for 25 years, and haven't found it on everybody. But when I do find it on someone, it's a reliable piece of equipment to keep in your arsenal, because knowing that they're on a draw or knowing, that they're on a bluff makes the game a lot easier. It just does. So in this particular case, the player to my right did all the other tells that we are aware of the strong is weak and weak is strong. What they did in addition to that, when they had a flush draw, was the posturing people do, like right before a confrontation in a fight, or right before they're going to jump into like the ocean or something, or a deep pool. They just go, all right, and they hold their breath, and they don't even know they're doing it. It's just a natural thing. If you're walking into a place and you're prepared for battle, you're gonna go in there with a full breath of air inside you, because you want to be ready to go. You don't want to be caught off guard. So people posture up, they do all their other little things they do. What they don't realize they're doing is they're holding their breath. And it's, some people it's more obvious than others. So in this particular case, the player postured up, made his bets a little more aggressively when he was on a draw. And right before he decided to do that, he would be thinking and be relaxed and think about what he's going to do, and then you just go, and then do his stuff. And he would hold his breath. Now, I haven't tried abusing this just to see how long the person could hold his breath for. I guess that would be kind of funny. Whether, you know, he would just hold his breath and go, okay, let's see, I'll just tank for the next 2 minutes and see how long he can, you know, hold out. Usually once I spot it, I act quickly so they can relax, because now they know they're getting called. And then, like his second bet, he just, you know, took another little breath, and as he was shoving in, and I mean, the pot odds were at the point where I'm going to be calling with anything, even if he had a strong hand. But anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. So what I suggest is that your next poker game, that if you find yourself card dead and start watching some people, maybe pick 1 or 2 people to watch and see if they hold their breath. If they do, find out what they're doing it with. It's good information. I've caught myself holding my own breath, so I know that I do it, and I know about it. So it's something that people don't even realize they're doing. So when you're playing against somebody, watch their breathing, watch their eyes, and those are the 2 big things. But anyway, if you catch a guy holding his breath, find out what it means and take advantage of it. All right, we're off to Thunder Valley Casino, play a little 1-3 today, buying for 300 in a new game. All right, first hand we play is a pair of 4s. There's 1 limper in front of us. We go ahead and raise to 12, and just the limper calls. He has about 120 in his stack to start the hand. Flop is 10-9-4, all different flavors. He checks to me. I put out a small bet just to try to keep him interested in the pot. He quickly calls. Turn card comes as a jack of diamonds. He checks again. I size up a little bit on this one. So when I bet 30, he quickly raises all in. This is kind of like that tell I was telling you about. A quick, forceful raise makes me think he's on some sort of draw, not a made hand. I asked the dealer for a count just to get an idea of what it is, trying to get some more reads on him. Even though it's just started the game, I figure I'll do some homework. Anyway, I go ahead and put in the call. River card comes as pretty much a blank, unless he had some sort of flush draw with an 8. And it comes 7 of spades. He quickly shows king 9 of diamonds, so he picked up a flush draw, and I take it down with a set. The next interesting hand is I have a pair of jacks and open for a raise to 15. Player directly behind me calls, and the original limper calls. Flop comes jack 5 deuce with 2 clubs. I bet out 16, about 1/3 pot. Player directly behind me puts in a quick call. The other limper folds. I'm putting him on some sort of flush draw since I have all the jacks locked up. It only makes sense that he would have clubs in this spot. When the king of diamonds comes on the turn, I decide to size up a little bit, so I bet 40 here, a little over half pot. He thinks for a little bit and then puts in the call. I'm really hoping that we see a deuce of clubs or a king of clubs on the river so I can get stacks in. He started the hand with about $200. The river card comes as a king of spades. And here I should probably go ahead and check to induce a bluff. But I just jam, hoping that he has a king of clubs in his hand, and he quickly mucks it. So I pick up a pair of 5s, and I'm under the gun, and I put in a small raise and only get the big blind to call me. So we go heads up to a flop for $25. The flop is 8-7-8. and he quickly checks to me. So I put out a small bet just to find out where I'm at, and he does call. His most likely holding here is some sort of flush draw or straight draw. The turn card comes as a relative blank card for that. It's a 4 of hearts, and he checks again to me. So I size up a little bit to protect against the flush draws, and he goes ahead and just ships it real quickly. He only had $85 to start the hand, so I go ahead and call off, and he shows a pair of jacks. So the game's starting to get a little bit shorter now. We're playing 6-handed before, but one player just left. Next hand I open for a raise to 13 over a limper. Person directly behind me puts in the call, and we go 3 ways to a flop. Flop is pretty good. It's ace 9 6 with 2 clubs. The first person checks. I go ahead and check it to the person behind me because they gave a little tell that they had a pair of aces, and he puts out a bet of 25. The other person folds, and when it comes back around to me, I think for a moment before putting in the call. Turn card comes is perfect. It's a red 4. I check to him again, and I expect him to make a good sized wager. He goes ahead and shoves all in for $93. I put in the quick call. River card comes as a 2 of hearts. He shows ace queen, and I take it down with pocket 6s. So I have one person limp in front of me, and I look down at ace jack of hearts. I go ahead and raise to 15. The blind calls and the early limper calls. So we go 3 ways to the flop, which is as good as you can expect. It's ace 3 deuce with 2 hearts. They both check to me, so I go ahead and put out a bet for $20, hoping that someone has a little piece of it, and they both quickly fold. All right, we're now playing 4-handed, and I look down with ace 10 offsuit, open for a raise to 12. The person directly behind me calls to 12, and one of the blinds calls. The flop is as good as you can ask for without actually hitting a hand. It's 4-4-7. So I don't expect anyone to have anything here unless they came in with a pocket pair. First player checks. I go ahead and make a larger size continuation bet. So I bet 21. The person directly behind me goes ahead and folds. The other person has a very short stack. They have about $30 in their remaining stack, and they go ahead and put in the call for the 21. Turn card comes as a 10, gives us top pair. He goes ahead and quickly jams his last $8. I call fairly rapidly. River card comes as an ace, and he ended up showing 8-9 for a missed straight. After that last hand, the table broke, so I racked up my chips and called it a day. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Really appreciate your support. Here are the totals for today. We'll see you next year. Happy New Year.